Welcome back everyone. At this point, there is seemingly no end to the trade rumors surrounding the Lakers, and it might only be a matter of time before one happens. After all, we have now reached December 15th, and if you don't know the importance of that date, that is when newly signed players became trade eligible. For the Lakers, that means being able to include a guy like Damian Jones in a trade, and then for the entire league in general, roughly 88% of players have now become trade eligible. And while there has only been one trade in NBA history on December 15th, it's not uncommon for a trade to be made shortly after that, and that appears to be what the Lakers are trying to do. We have now heard multiple reports about who they might be targeting, along with who they're willing to give up from their team as well, and we will talk about all of that in today's video. Before we do that though, if you are looking to test your knowledge of the NBA, then be sure to check out PrizePicks 12 Days of Picksmas. Every day leading up to December 25th, they have a different promotion going on, and today, they are boosting the odds of their flex plays. On only a $10 bet, you could turn that into $300 by getting 6 plays correct, and you don't need to get all of them correct either. You can still win by getting 5 or even 4 of them correct too. And here's what I'm going with for today. I got our boy Bojan Bogdanovic having more than 20.5 points, Domantas Sabonis having more than 18.5 points, Westbrook having more than 5 rebounds, Austin Reeves having more than 2.5 rebounds, and more than 4.5 combined rebounds and assists, and then Royce O'Neal having more than 4.5 rebounds. If you are looking to make your own picks, then be sure to check out PrizePicks, and use code JSM to get a bonus on your first deposit. Without further ado though, let's get back to today's topic, and we'll begin by talking about the Lakers' own players that might be traded, which at the moment does not appear to include Russell Westbrook. According to The Athletic, the Lakers are less likely to trade him following his improved play off the bench, and that's not only referring to keeping him right now, but even beyond the trade deadline too, which is definitely not something that everyone agrees with. Despite him playing better off the bench, he has still not been particularly great. I mean, don't get me wrong here, he's without a doubt been better for them, and I really commend him for buying into that new role, but they are really limiting themselves by keeping him. For one, he is by far the biggest salary they have to trade with. They are not offering LeBron or Anthony Davis, so other than Westbrook, their next biggest contract would be Patrick Beverley, and there is a huge difference between Beverley's $13 million contract and then Westbrook's $47 million contract, which really affects what they can get back through a trade. Now, the obvious problem is with Westbrook not holding much of any trade value, but he is still able to get them more contracts in return, and more contracts typically equates to more depth. At the moment, lacking depth is a major issue for them, and especially in regard to their wing depth, trading Westbrook could theoretically get them 2 or even 3 players in return to help with that, which is something they cannot hope to do by trading Patrick Beverley alone. With all of that being said though, a trade involving Westbrook appears to be off the table, and that will leave them with Patrick Beverley, Kendrick Nunn, and a minimum contract guy like Damian Jones. According to reports, they appear to be the 3 most likely players to be traded, with Beverley being the one who has been brought up the most lately, which again is primarily due to him being their biggest contract outside of their big 3. However, that does not mean he has much of any trade value. I think we are all well aware of the year that Beverley has been having. He is currently shooting an awful 30% from the field, only 25% from 3, and then has not been able to defend bigger players like they hoped he would. On the other side of that argument though, they would be trading him at an all-time low value, which is something that they have unfortunately been known for doing during the past few years now. And every time they've done it, it's ended up making them look foolish. If you need any proof of that at all, they are reportedly going after former Laker Kyle Kuzma, a guy they traded at an all-time low value about a year and a half ago. Along with that, Patrick Beverley has quietly been shooting the ball better lately too. Now, we unfortunately cannot unsee the completely wide open layups he missed against Boston, but he definitely has been shooting better from 3. During their past 5 games, Beverley is shooting 38.5% from 3, and that's been while attempting over 3 of them per game. Not only that though, but if we take a look at defensive Raptor rating, he is currently their second most impactful defender, and then the 41st most impactful defender in the entire league thus far. Now, definitely take all of that with a grain of salt, but there might be an argument for holding on to him a bit longer, which I kind of agree with, but unfortunately, they cannot create much of a trade package without him. However, there is absolutely no argument for keeping Kendrick Nunn at this point. They absolutely need to trade one of their smaller guards, and Kendrick Nunn would be a no-brainer. He might not have much of any trade value either, but he does make more than a minimum level contract, which would help them trade for a guy like Cam Reddish. That would be about their limit for a Kendrick Nunn trade though, and in order for them to get more for him, they would have to combine him with Patrick Beverley, Damian Jones, along with draft compensation too. Then in regard to who they would trade them for, not only are they looking at Cam Reddish, but they're also looking at Bojan Bogdanovic, Kyle Kuzma, Evan Fournier, and now apparently Jay Crowder too. And while I am aware that they have been linked to more than only them, those are the most realistic options that keep popping up for them, as I don't see DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, or a guy like John Collins being anything but wishful thinking. With all of that in mind though, they finally appear to recognize their need for more wing depth. No matter who you're talking about from that group, they would fit a need for them in regard to position, and especially the ones who can play at both small forward and power forward too. That category would include Bojan Bogdanovic, Jay Crowder, and Kyle Kuzma, all of which would very likely take a first-round draft pick or something close to it to acquire. They reportedly offered one for Bojan Bogdanovic already, but that included heavy protections, and if they hope to acquire any of them, they will have to change that. I'm sure they'll make an offer for Kyle Kuzma as well if they have not already, who they recently inquired about according to Chris Haynes. But much like Bojan Bogdanovic, he will not be available for cheap. The Washington Wizards quote-unquote really covet him, and they will not be simply giving him away. And that might lead to him being out of their price range, which could potentially make them take a further look at Jay Crowder, who could be acquired with or without trading Patrick Beverley. Another combo forward who is available for the right price, but I'm not sure I'd be willing to pay that price if I were them. He theoretically would be a good fit, though there are definitely some issues here with him too. For one, we know the history between him and LeBron. It goes back to their time in Cleveland, and they quite obviously do not like each other. Even looking past that though, Jay Crowder is slowly declining on defense, is not a great three-point shooter, and might cost them a protected first-round draft pick. And at that point, I would rather give up a lightly or completely unprotected pick for Bojan Bogdanovic, as I believe he would make a much bigger overall impact on their team. To wrap everything up here though, the Lakers are very likely to make a trade, and while we cannot be sure on who or exactly when they'll make that trade, all signs are pointing to them making one, if not even a couple of them eventually. Although, with how limited their trade assets are, they need to be sure that every trade they make is a beneficial one, as they simply don't have much room for error. With all of that being said though, what do you guys think? Who do you believe they should trade for? And then which players do you think they should trade away? Let me know your thoughts by commenting down below and we can talk about it there. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and turn on notifications to get notified right away when I drop a new video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.